married an exorcist. It's alright. Go ahead. Call me naive, call me short-sighted. But the truth was, I didn't explicitly know what I was signing myself up for. I at least knew our relationship would be different. He would be gone a lot. He would come home exhausted. He would be angry and weary in the way people who hold other people's nightmares become. I fell in love with the man, Mac. Mom would roll her eyes at me saying it, but I genuinely did. It wasn't a goth experiment or bizarre curiosity. He was it for me. Perfectly imperfect in the bestest and kindest of ways. Most people avoided us. Only a handful of the wives on our street spoke to me. None ever invited me into their homes. None returned my invitations. I suppose the rules we kept didn't help. Strict 9 p.m. curfew, no stepping outside at dusk, curtains sealed tight from 5 to 7 each evening. He never explained them. He didn't have to. An exorcist has reasons. Everyone understands and backs away a little when you tell them your partner wrestles with things unseen. But it wasn't unbearable to be left out, especially knowing he was saving others. I took up classes and learned new skills to pass time. He had not wanted any kids. He said he had seen what he had driven off, sent away, cast into the pits of whatever name you give to the places that you hate and never think twice about. He said forgiveness was rare in those circles. He said bringing a child into that orbit was cruelty for all the parties involved. I agreed. I accepted. It made sense. But the longing lodged itself into me like a splinter. I dreamed of a child's breath against my skin, its heartbeat against my chest and inside of me. During the day, I would imagine tiny laughter, little feet padding on the carpet, and the thought of not having one began to ache. Looking back now, that sudden yearning seemed so out of place. It only highlighted my lacking mothering instincts, which explains why I had even ended up married to an exorcist in the first place. I couldn't hold back the longing anymore. It was almost driving me insane. When I begged, Mark resisted. He worked long cases. He came home soaked with other people's fear. He frowned and shook his head in despair when I persisted, but the pleading wore him down. He said yes with a look that carried both regret and resolve. The first sign that something was wrong was the duration of the pregnancy. It should have been 9 months or less, or 10 at most. But the pregnancy tests showed positive with each try, and that had lasted for 2 years straight. I got my regular cycle every now and then. My belly remained bloated and stuck at a 5-month bump. It appeared the baby wasn't in a hurry. Mark had raised his concern and I had dismissed it all. It was my body, it was my baby. I wasn't sick, so all was obviously fine. Except it wasn't. I could tell by now that something was wrong. Even hormones wouldn't make me quite this angry and unbearable to live with, but he had stayed by my side. Our house changed to be more accommodating. Mirrors were removed. Windows were barricaded, curtains were drawn tight, and we kept the lights on at all times. No dark corners, ever. Whatever connection I had with the neighbors evaporated. Mark took care of everything. He stopped taking his cases. He cooked, he cleaned, he monitored me like a man watching a fragile, dying garden. He did it all quietly, without a hint of frustration, with a steady hand that trembled only when he thought I wasn't looking. The effort calmed me in small moments, but mostly, it only made my own failure louder, my inability to be patient or grateful. I snapped. I lashed out over the silliest of things. I turned into someone I neither liked nor recognized, rude and monstrous and hollow. I was no longer in control. I felt like a passenger in my own body, only capable of watching as life unfolded around me. My stomach grew and outgrew any 9 months bump I have ever seen in the span of 3 days. Now I was starting to get really scared. The nightmares I suffered were blurry, but the voices were sharp. Even while awake, they never go quiet. Then the pain started. It came as a pressure that grew into something I can only describe as hell. I dropped to my knees. My joints felt as if they were being unthreaded. My belly was being torn from the inside. It was a horrifying sensation, something desperately pushing to leave a body that refused. I remember thinking of that old science fiction film, Alien, and how audiences screamed when it happened, only that I was now screaming alone. Mark wasn't home. He had gone out to get groceries. I growled. I vomited. I gripped the towels until my fingers bled. I remember the terror of wanting it all to stop and being certain stopping would be the end of me. Tears and mucus and hot spit mixed on my face. The last thing I saw before black was Mark's face, wide-eyed, pale, lips parting to say something I didn't quite catch. I was in and out of consciousness for what I learned to be 4 whole weeks. All I can remember of that time was me clinging onto how I was feeling and hoping I never left because I wasn't in pain, and waking up meant being suffocated by it. But the pain was gone, as if I had imagined it all. Mark explained that I had been touched, he said, not possessed completely, which explains the false memories, the vivid imaginary pregnancy, the changes, and why I had been acting unlike myself. My memories were unreliable, so I didn't even bother to try to remember, but I guess Mark was truly terrified by what happened. He said he thought he would lose me, and that had made him decide to quit entirely. About time I put my degree to work, he said. When I fully recovered, and what only remained of that dark time were scars on my palms and fast-fading memories, we moved to a different town and started a new life. A normal life where we had date nights, ate out, and watched the sunset over the horizon. Now when people ask about me, I say I'm married to an accountant. You made it to the end. Bravo. Subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.